Hey guys, so welcome back. I'm Aaron Emmett if we've not met before, and I'm going to show you in this video how you can use the equity in your home and turn that into a monthly cash flow. This video is especially for you if you have a home and you have built up a good amount of equity within that home, but you have limited cash flow. You might be asset rich and cash poor. You might have paid off a significant amount of your mortgage, but you're struggling to pay the bills and the insurance and taxes and so on and so forth. How would you like to have an extra £2,000 to £3,000 a month coming through the door as passive income? If you would, then stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to show you how to generate a passive income using the equity that is in your home. But before we start, I'm talking about releasing this equity in a responsible manner, not just releasing the equity and doing something stupid with it. So, by definition, your home equity is the difference between your home's current market value and the mortgage that you have secured on the home. So, let's just say that the market value of your property is £500,000 at the moment. The mortgage that you've got is £200,000. So that margin between the two is your home's equity. Now, the interesting thing here is that you can take that equity out of your home as a tax-free lump sum if you want to. Now, if you do, you can invest that money into a cash flowing property and make a passive income off of it. And as I've said before, caveat here, I'm not suggesting you irresponsibly remove equity from your home. That's not what I'm discussing here. What I'm going to show you today, though, is how you can do that properly. Now, first of all, who am I? I've been in property as a property entrepreneur for the last 20 years. I've built over 300 homes in my career, and I've also been awarded the Property Week Trailblazer of the Year award. Right, now let's understand the principles of what it is that you are potentially going to learn about. So the first question is, how do you take it out? Well, there's strategies out there called HELOC, and this is how you can remove the home equity. But in essence, there are several different ways to do it. I'm not going to go into the ways that you can do it at the moment. I'm just going to go into the principles of what you do and how you do it. There are lenders out there that will allow you to borrow between 60 up to 80% of your home's equity. So in this example, what we're going to do is utilize the example I gave a moment ago, which is a £500,000 property with a £200,000 mortgage and that £300,000 differential. Certain lenders will allow you to remove that and borrow 75%, let's say, as the example of your current home's value. Now, you could then borrow, on the example I've just given at £500,000, working the math out, £375,000 of that property's value. Now, considering that you've got a mortgage of £200,000 at the moment, but you've got the threshold to borrow up to £375,000, there's a differential between those two of £175,000. Now, that is what we're going to be discussing working with. And we're going to utilize that money to create cash flow. So the strategy does increase the debt that you have with your existing property. We're not forgetting that. We're just figuring the way to use this method to pay that comfortably, safely, and without generating additional risk. So the first thing to do before you implement a strategy like this is to educate yourself. You need to know what you're doing. And I always tell people, first of all, learn the rules of the game before you start playing it, and make sure you properly understand what you're doing, because there's no room for mistakes, because the mistakes can ruin your finance. It's best that you work with an expert, but clearly there are other ways you can do it. You can watch videos, you can learn on YouTube, you can read books, etc. So, and clearly I have a mentoring program where I do assist people on a one-on-one basis. As I said, you can book a call. But let's go into the detail of what you can actually do and how it works. And also there are many strategies out there that you can utilize, but I'm focusing on cash flow strategies for the sake of this example, okay? So let's take this £175,000 that you've just taken out of your property and consider it in this way. You could utilize that £175,000 as a 25% mortgage on another property, whether that's one large property or several smaller properties. And think this through, you could get approximately £700,000 worth of property using £175,000. Now that could make it take shape as 4 smaller properties as way of example, or 3. Well, first of all, we would need to work out what works best for you and how that works. But for simplicity's sake, let's assume that you buy these 3 properties worth £700,000 and you invest in the right properties in the right area, and you've learned how to make those properties income generating using the professional methods, and that all the taxes and insurances get paid, and the maintenance and the mortgage, and that this property portfolio is structured professionally so it is income generating. And it's not difficult to understand what to do, but you've got to buy the right properties, and then you create yourself a little business. So with those 4 properties, let's assume you're working with me and you know how to do this. And they each generate £1,000 a month worth of profit after you've paid all the things I've just discussed above. So the net income after all the costs of those properties is £1,000 a month. So you've just created with 3 properties a passive income of £1,000 per unit, 3 times 3, which is £3,000 a month coming through the door, which you then utilize to pay the additional loans or the loan that you've got on your principal residency. So as you can start to see, you've now utilized that equity and you've made it work for you. So there's, in essence, the process, but you've now got £3,000 a month coming through the door after that business has washed its face, and that £36,000 a year additional income has come through specifically by releasing this equity. And thinking this through, this £36,000 is paying, as I've just said a moment ago, your existing mortgage, and it's totally passive and the income is coming through, and you wouldn't have made it if you didn't release the equity. So by taking that £175,000, you have now created an environment where you've got yourself a small little business that's generating this passive income, and that money is now working for you because you've invested it to make the £36,000. Now, the benefit doesn't end there. You've got a £700,000 portfolio working for you. Now, that £700,000 portfolio is at today's value. Your home is still increasing in value as it has done in the past, and the income is the mortgage is getting serviced over here. But on the other side of the fence, you now have a portfolio, a modest portfolio of 3 or 4 properties that is now worth £700,000. Now, what's that going to be worth in 5 years' time? Take that property, look at the values, look at historic growth patterns that happen here in the UK, and typically you could argue that that £700,000 portfolio in 5 years is worth best part of £1 million. Now, that's where it starts to get interesting, right? So not only have you got your passive income and you've got that additional income, you've also got a portfolio of 3 properties over here increasing in value. Now that's another £300,000 in 5 years' time that you would not have had if you'd have just left it locked up. So you can start appreciating what you're doing and how this is working. Now that £300,000 you wouldn't have earned, and you've also got 3 properties. Now this is really, really powerful. So think this through. Let's turn around and say that you've got a family with young children. You've just created an environment where each one of your children could potentially have a stake in your small family business here. And your small family business is generating an income for them, and it's generating an income for you, and it's also growing in value, and you can start to appreciate where that really starts to work hard. Now, I've just given you the overview of the strategy. Clearly, if you want to know more about how it works, then reach out, book a call with us, and clearly we'll be able to assist you and talk you through it in more detail. But we're here to enable you to make smart financial decisions. We're not here to sell you any properties. So the decision-making process for you is quite simple. If you've got equity in your home and you want to make it work, then have a conversation with us. If you like this video and you want to know more, then clearly you can just hit the subscribe button and watch some of the other videos that we've got going on and learn some more. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.